Hey y'all, what's going on? It's your girl, My Desire, and of course, the one and only Jamal is here with me. What's going on, Jamal?
Just a day of living, beautiful, black, and highly favored and blessed.
Listen, it's a whole lot of black happening in this here show. Okay, we are here
Excellence.
with Big Go Bell Media to provide you with another amazing review. This time, we're reviewing Riches, which is an Amazon original, which will be coming out December 2nd. Let me tell you, messy drama. My two favorite words for this series.
Yes, yes,
Messy and drama. What was your first thought when you did you see the trailer for this show before watching it with me?
I did.
Okay.
And
What did you think?
I was like, oh, this like it's gonna be my favorite type of petty.
Mm,
Like it's petty on petty on petty,
it is.
but beautifully done and not messy in a way where it's degrading.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one thing I love about it the most is that the richness of it just doesn't. It's like how how Hollywood tries to do, but let's make this black,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's
It
whitewashed.
feels yeah, it feels yeah. Mm-hmm. I know
This
what you mean.
feels all like I see my family in this.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved when I saw the preview, just like you, I was like, okay, it looks a little drama-ish, very empire-ish if we had to compare it to something, right?
You're
And
in my
then
head.
we in there, we watching episode 1 and we like, okay, episode 2, we like, oh no, we gotta go to episode 3. By the time we got to
Hmm.
episode 3, we were like, okay, so we finna watch 4 and 5. We wasn't even supposed
Exactly.
to, but we ended up watching it because it grabs you.
It draws
Now
you in.
this storyline takes place in England. Of course, this is a black family, black Britain family, that happens to be the just basically the owners and millionaires of Flame and Glory, which is the name of the line that they have. So it's a hair care line, and the dad is of course the owner, and the CEO and all that jazz. And we only get a sneak peek of the dad in this season because he dies early on in
Hmm.
the episodes. When we're first meeting the characters, did anybody stand out to you that you were like, oh, I can't wait to see more of this person?
You know, I actually wanted to see more of Simon, is it?
Okay, that's the brother.
Yes.
Okay.
I expected to see more of him because I kind of felt like he would be very much, I mean, he is the sidekick, but I thought he would have a more impressive role, a more involved, engaged,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't get that.
Okay.
But as far as everybody else, they gave me exactly what I was
What you
expecting
expected?
from them. Hmm.
So of course we have, and I'm just gonna read names off. We have Deborah Ayorinde. I'm hoping I'm saying that name right. She plays our main character, which is Nina. Then, of course, we
Hmm.
have Emmanuel Imani, who plays Simon, her brother. We then have Claudia, Sarah Niles, who plays Claudia, which is the stepmom, the evil, wicked witch of the West stepmom. And then we have another key player, which is Brendan Coyle, who plays Gideon, which is the man who basically reads off the will. So of course, as we go through, we have a few others because we have the brothers that they didn't see or they didn't know, and the sisters. So we have Etta Kinye, Etta Yinka, who plays Alicia. Then we have Ola Orebi Y, who plays Gus, and then who is and then Neka Okoye, who plays Wanda. So first of all, the cast is beautiful,
Gorgeous.
absolutely beautiful.
Gorgeous. Like I
Okay,
want their skin routine.
all the shades of black that you can find in this show, and that you can find in the world, you see in this show, and it's so empowering just to see them radiant and mostly for real, if you think about it, powerful throughout the entirety of the
Mm-hmm.
season. Now, like I said early on, when we first dive into episode one, we have Nina, who they show us she's a very successful, I believe it's a marketing executive.
Yeah,
Um,
she's a VP, I think.
right. And so she's getting ready to level up in her career, just landed a big deal. And so
Mm-hmm.
now she's out celebrating, and she gets this call from her what they call it, estranged father. And
Mm-hmm.
she goes on to tell him, like, I don't care, don't ever call me. I don't even know how you got this number.
Exactly.
And then the damn daddy done died the day after he talks to her. And so here comes Simon, who's basically like, oh, we gotta go. We're gonna go say our goodbyes and this and the third.
Mm-hmm.
Wicked Witch of the West mama done changed the damn time of the funeral. So by the time they get there, it's late. And the
Mm-hmm.
funeral has already gone past, but they decide to still show up for the will reading. Now, all of the children, excluding Simon and Nina, get, I believe was it $10 million? Or was it
It's 30 million. Yeah, it's 10 million because it's 30 million to be split between the three of them.
okay? So they get 10 million apiece, and then he leaves the wife, the house, and then he leaves the entire company to Nina. Does he leave it to Nina and Simon, or does he leave it to Nina?
He leaves majority of the shares to Nina and Simon, but let's
Right.
not forget he also leaves his devoted secretary $1 million,
Yes, $1 million.
and he gives that wife an allowance that should be fitting for
Yes.
her to live in that house. And I love the way that he said that, because it's like, you should be able to survive off of this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you're going to, that's another thing, but this is what you should be able to survive off of.
Right. So, of course, episode one is just a bunch of bickering and how dare you come in here and take something. And first of all, how they taking something that they didn't even know they was going to get? Come on. Like,
They didn't even want it.
They ain't even want it. So, we have a lot going on in episode one that shows why there is such a disconnect and a disdain for, the different parts of the family. Now, I think by the end of season one, we get enough to know, like, oh, okay, shit is about to get real. It's about to pop off. What was your first, like, initial thought from beginning to end? Did anything stand out to you in particular that was making you like, oh yeah, I'm ready for this?
The thing that stood out for me the most was how hell-bent the stepmother was to make sure that the wheels kept rolling without the children being there, or
Mm-hmm.
trying to derail them from being involved and trying to be the boss. Well, the whole time she thought and bopping with the help.
With the help, she sure was.
And nobody knows. But I think the thing that really bothered me the most when we first get introduced to Nina and Simon, when it comes to the family dynamic with their siblings and stepmother, is they're automatically assuming that they're only coming because they want something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Not even giving them credit or knowing the fact that they're both very successful in their own right.
Yep.
Simon is a successful, I don't know if he's just an overall stylist or if he's just a hairstylist, makeup artist, whatever.
A creative director of some sort, per se, I believe.
And as you mentioned earlier about Nina owning, being at the top of her ladder with her company, but they're doing their own thing. They don't even want this. But the thing that really stood out to me the most, that I loved the most, was the antagonist of the stepmother, because it was her constantly biting the hand that feeds her.
Right.
Because it's echoed throughout the season. If you just shut up, this could have been yours.
Hello. Okay.
But she just had to keep saying something. And that's what, at the end of it all, was the thing that she got in her own way.
Right, absolutely. So it's so funny because in my notes I wrote down spoiled ass family. Like the whole entirety of that side, just spoiled ass family, because they were so like baffled, the way that Gus and Alicia What was
No,
Alicia?
no,
No,
no, no, no, no. Wanda, because Alicia
Wanda.
has her own shit going
Yes,
on,
Gus
and we
and
gonna touch on
Wanda.
that later. But
Yes, we're
yeah,
just spending money frivolously, like just like hair, whatever, you know. And so by the time we get to the end of season one, like you said, Nina and Simon had decided that they were going to sign over the rights to the company. They didn't
oh,
want
you
it.
mean episode one?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sorry, episode one. They were going to
You
sign
good?
over the rights, you know, and they come in to have a conversation. And of course, Claudia says, you know, you're just like your mother, you know, and she makes some sneer remark or whatever. And she was like, you just couldn't shut up, could you? That's how, you know, Nina responds. She said, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
The deal is off. And just like that, we have the start of our season, which of course we knew from the preview that was going to be the case, but seeing it
Exactly.
in action was definitely different. I think it played out just a little bit differently than I had thought it was going to, but I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't see it coming. So I was kind of happy about that.
Right.
So, of course, we have episode 2 where now Claudia is looking for another lawyer, right? Because she wants to fight the will. Basically, she says it's got to be a way that we can, you know, go in
Be
here and do
contested
something.
and all of
Yeah,
that. Mm-hmm.
child, the best of the best told her, you should be, just like you said, you should be able to live off of what the hell he put in his will. I don't know what's wrong with you and why you fighting it, but here you are, you know, being a
Mm-hmm.
mess, you know, per usual, but Gus by her side. Um, this episode for me, I feel like I wrote down my notes like Gus is childish, and this is when he starts to go on the interviews and everybody is asking him
Yes.
like, so what you're really saying is like you don't have any real world experience.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing, that even though it's a different culture, because they're
Mm-hmm.
in England as stated, and you know, and they are a Black British African family, the same thing still is happening.
Right.
Whereas even in America, in other countries, you know, the upper echelon that has
Mm-hmm.
these families that run these multi-million dollar companies that had their children or family members working for them, but they just have a title. They don't have any real dealings with the company. It's just
Right.
like you were given the title. You don't actually do any work.
You don't do anything.
And they was like, well, come to me when you got some experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that was humbling, but it also spoke to his insecurities, because it was at first, it was he, you know, him thinking that his father didn't think that he was fit to run the company if
Right.
something was to happen to him.
Right.
And then it's like, now my sister, who's my big sister at that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how successful she is. Is she going to tell me what to do? No, I'm about to get my own.
Right.
And that just speaks to the, you know, fake alpha male ego that is all but hurt that
Right.
he's not getting his way. So it's a very spoiled brat moment of it.
Yeah, I agree. And so of course, you know, again, we still we're in this particular episode, we're dealing with the failing too of a lot of the products, because remember now
Yes.
they have been getting bad mouth, and there has now been a Facebook page that pops up that says, you know, well, y'all burn my edges off. Now I don't know about you. Okay. But if my edges go missing, you best believe I'm gonna be on Yelp. Somebody finna hear about this. And
listen, I have very big issues trusting women who don't have their edges or back teeth. Those are the two things that you should be able to take care of at any means necessary.
I cannot with
If you can't put those two together, how am I going to trust you to have it together for me? I'm just
listen, I'm done with you already. But of course, you know, so we have that happening, and Nina wants to trust the guy, so she gives him the opportunity to, hey, can you handle this? You know, at that time, the group had like 250 members. By the time she gave it to Gus and he did nothing to it, came in drunk or something like that, shows back up, it's now 3,000 members. So they have to figure out what's happening, and they realize one of the guys decides to confess after she goes around looking that they had taken a shortcut, which essentially meant that the product was not the original way that they had intended for it to be, and which obviously caused these issues. What are you thinking as far as like for me, I'm sitting here and I'm like, of course this will happen on her watch, because
Exactly.
none of this was happening with or was it happening with the dad, and we didn't see that part as of yet.
I was thinking that it was typical for shit to hit the fan, so to speak, because, you know, as you said, there wasn't any talk of it. There wasn't any mention of it. You know, the middle daughter, Alicia, she's a influencer, a beauty influencer at that. So the fact that it hadn't hit her radar until until Nina takes over,
right?
And she's like, well, what is going on? Because she even approaches Nina like, have you seen this? And what's going on? And that's when, you know, it all comes out that they had, you know, skipped a few things here and there. The thing that bothered me the most, and we see this in companies all the time, is that they're so prepared to deal with the backlash to pay somebody off rather than to fix the issue along the way. You know what I'm saying? So when all of this comes about, I'm like, okay, she about to boss up, take care of this, and you know, keep it going, which we see she eventually does. So in my mind, I'm like, this is the moment where I really think that Simon's going to come and take over as the creative director, but we see it still stays in the family, but it goes to Alicia instead of to Simon, and that's when we find out more information about Alicia and why she hasn't been with the company, which is also interesting.
It is. I will say that for sure. It definitely is. And then, you know, of course, with all this happening, this is when Gideon figures out that they have that extra share that's somehow missing now, right? That they don't know about. Actually, I feel like at this time it's two, right? So technically, it was the one that was going to the cousin or the aunt that supposedly had passed away. And then it was the other missing share that they didn't know about.
Exactly.
That was completely missing, and that they were starting to look into. Now, at this time, we see, of course, Claudia is still carrying on her affair with Dre, but Dre is also her inside man. First of all, why every villain named Dre? I'm just thinking about like...
But they are though.
Come on, seriously. Like, what is happening here? I'm staying away from all men named Dre. I'm sorry, I don't want to date you. It just sounds like bad luck. But moving on. So of course, Dre is Claudia's inside man, and at this point, Claudia ain't trying to give up no butt, because she like, you need to bring him. You
dropped the ball,
right? Like, how you ain't know this was going on in your house, type of situation. And so, of course, now we also got our eye on our little I'm gonna call her our little Ivory friend in the office, Miss Maureen, right? Who is over here secretly deleting emails. At the which time we thinking, oh, she's scandalous. Something is going on. Like, what's happening?
Embezzlement secrets or love affairs, something.
I figured, to be quite honest, that during the time that we watching this episode, that she has something to do with his death, essentially. What were you thinking about her deleting these emails?
Well, I definitely thought that it was something, because also at that, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead. Is it at that point that we find out that there's money missing?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so when she's deleting the emails, I'm thinking that one, it's embezzlement that she's also cooked up in, as well as she been Dad's secret piece of pee that ain't nobody know about. You know what I'm saying? But you know what we come to find out, I never expected.
Absolutely.
Which even makes me root for homegirl even more, because you always need that one. She's like that one. She's that knight. I don't know how many people play chess. I try to. I ain't that great.
Don't look at me.
That knight is like, that's your secret weapon. That's what's helping guard your queen. And she's that piece. Like, without me, this shit gonna crumble. And she knows all the ins and outs, and she don't say much, but she say just enough to lead you to start asking the right things and saying, you know what I'm saying, to go doing your own research. So that I literally thought that it was she knew about the embezzlement and she was somehow involved in it. So that's why I thought she was deleting the emails.
Yeah, because Nina at that time, well, in episode 1, we see that she decides to keep Maureen because Maureen was going to quit. So obviously, she knows that there's a lot that Maureen knows that she doesn't. And of course, in this episode as well, we also know that we think there's a piece of a time during this it's episode 2 where I thought that Dre was going to get fired, but it was actually the guy who was running the, I guess, like what they call those people, like the quality control folks.
Yes.
Because of the hair products. And so, like you said, we realized that money is missing, and here we are, so that takes us into episode 3, where now they've decided that it's 20 million pounds missing, which you are the mathematician, so I'm not really sure what that translates to in US dollars. I'm gonna just let you have that.
It's more than 20 million in American dollars.
Yeah, I believe so. And so, of course, so now, and as we're going through the season, we notice that, Simon is like, listen, we came here to bury that man and to go home. You got us here running a whole company. He says, what are you doing? Okay. But he's like, I'm going home. I'm just going to go visit. I'm going to calm mom down because she's worried. She didn't want them to come in the first place. So he's heading back to LA. They're trying to figure out what's going on with the money. And I really thought, to be honest with you, that Dre was somehow going to mess up the record request that she was asking for, that Nina was asking for, when she was like, I need to see all of these, files. And so I think that this is when we see Alicia come into play, right? Like you said earlier, talking about how she's not part of the family business, which doesn't make any sense because, like you said, she's an influencer. So what do you see? What are you thinking now when you see her character come more into like its own? What's your thoughts about that?
From the very beginning, when we first get introduced to Alicia after she meets Nina and Simon, I never got an ill intent vibe from her. But I always did wonder, why is it that she isn't involved and she is this influencer? Then when we find out that, she has this learning disability because she's dyslexic.
Right.
I honestly feel like Alicia is she's that not gatekeeper, but she's that golden puzzle piece. You know what I'm saying? Because she knows what's going on now. As far as in the terms of their industry, because she is an influencer, so she has an insight and she knows what the customers are looking for. So I think she's very she's an imperative piece for this family to have involved in the business. Now I think that although her motives for joining were somewhat out of spite, because you got to remember she is offered the position, but she takes a minute to think about it and mentions it to Claudia and Gus, where they pretty much shit on her because of the fact that, she was never working with the company before. So she takes it out of spite, but she ends up starting to love it. So I think that she's a very valuable asset, but at the same time, they're all, even though they're related, and that's the thing about families, just because you're related doesn't mean that you trust. Right. And this is very much a trial to see how much I can trust you if I give you this responsibility. So I think, for the most part, Alicia's playing fair, but you got to remember, she's her mother's daughter. So her alliance is always going to be with her mother. So it's like, I can only trust you as far as I can throw you.
Right. Yeah. I think that, not so much as her. Yes, I do believe it's alliance, but I also believe it's manipulation. When you look at like what the mom does to her, when she says like, oh, she offered me a position, she takes her hand, she's like, oh, my dear Alicia, like, she's using you. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that manipulation, especially when it comes from a parent. It's like, well, you must be right. But if you can think a little bit for your own, you're like, this don't sit right. It's something is off, and she even talks about her dyslexia in this episode, which I thought was really cool, because I don't think that a lot of people who are actually dealing with dyslexia really, that I don't think it's talked about enough to where you can say you can like really have a full-blown career and job, of
success
course,
and
and
everything.
still be successful and still have that issue. But I also like how Nina was telling her, like, okay, so if that's the problem, you find somebody to come in and do that part for you, delegate. This is how you move up, which is a very actually, that's a powerful statement, because really and truly some of the best leaders are really just the best delegators. They know how to get the person who is an expert in that field to do that part of the job. You know what I mean?
Teamwork made the dream work.
That part is very true. So now, of course, we're getting into a little bit of the mess and the drama, because our little Ivory friend, okay, she has started some shit. She has framed, and when have we not seen an Ivory person frame a Black person? Okay, so this is nothing new, but nonetheless, she frames Davina for the emails. And Nina finds out about the deleted emails. Somehow Davina's login was used. Maureen is over in the corner just glaring around like, oh my God, I don't know what's happening.
I don't even know how to do it.
Right. And so let me tell you, that's my favorite part of this episode. Davina's like, I don't even know how to do what you're telling me that I did. So it definitely wasn't me. Like, what is happening here? How am I get framed for something that I can't even do?
But it was your login. I don't know how to do this, bitch. How many times you want me to say it?
Listen, I have no idea. So we have that happening, right? And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is the episode where they're trying to find out what's going on with the no, because I'm trying to figure out, I feel like maybe that's episode 4. When they've chosen.
It's the same episode.
Oh, it is?
It's the same episode.
Okay. So while Nina is dealing with this, there's a lot happening for Nina right now.
It is so much happening. Y'all just don't know.
Let's recap. So she's fighting with the family, right? Because they don't want her to have with Flaming Glory. But now Flaming Glory is missing 20 million pounds, right? They're also having to deal with a product issue, and they have the upcoming model to choose for the new campaign. All of this is happening, and let's jump into something real quick. Nina still finds time to get that penis, though. I'm just saying.
Listen. Before we get into that, let's talk about her man-eater ways.
Hello.
Because it is shown in episode 1 how she's like, find him, fuck him, forget him.
Yes, very much so.
Pretty much. And I strongly applaud a woman that strong in her sexuality, because although it's frowned upon, although, a woman should be able to do it the same thing as a man, just because she should be able doesn't mean she just because she could be able to do the same doesn't mean she should. Because we already know women are held at a higher pedestal. And so the double standard of her sleeping with the men and discarding them like their drawers is just like, it's hilarious to me. But she finds her little piece on Grindr. God, no.
Ooh, is it Grindr? Tinder?
No, it's not a Grindr.
What is it?
Tinder. It's Tinder, whatever.
I don't even know. I'm about to go look up Grindr right now. Like,
you don't need to. You're not going to find anything that you want.
All right.
But broken hearts.
Let me not go on Grindr. Okay. All right. So, of course, again, like Nina has all this going on. And this episode was actually full of a lot because she has all that happening, but they really did a good job at discussing colorism in this episode too.
Yes.
So all of the women in the past that they have chosen and the new ones that are up for grabs are clearly mixed. Not one solid Black woman on the board, not
Godiva beauties.
Yeah. So I think it's Alicia. Was it Alicia who stepped in?
Alicia is the one who made the conscious effort to mention that, we don't have anyone who's of a darker skin tone that has won. You know what I'm saying? She's beautiful, but this one is the one who got the followers.
Right.
So
Right.
let's play. Claudia is trying to
Mhm.
play smart, but we're in an era now of total transparency
Mhm.
and accountability
Mhm.
and consciousness, where it's like the lighter the skin does not mean the more beautiful you are.
Right.
And that's the point that Alicia's trying to portray, and Nina hops on board with it.
Yeah, I agree. So we have all this happening. I love that they are really talking about it because it brings light to the things that are still currently happening, especially in a place like England, or even Africa, here in America, where women and men are still lightening their skin using bleaching creams and all sorts of things, wearing colored contacts or straightening. I won't say straightening their hair, but I'm talking about in the form of for real doing it to please and look a certain kind of way. We know that we do it for certain reasons, but I think like just really talking about like what that mixed look looks like and why people were so attracted to it. And again, with all the mess that's happening, Claudia is out here trying to gain votes from all of the shareholders behind Nina's back so that she can now overturn and get this deal with whatever the name of this company is. Because
That's after this.
oh, that's after this.
That's after, because that's
Okay,
four.
okay. So
But
we're gonna no. Go ahead.
but
Go ahead.
I'm glad you mentioned the messiness of it all,
Mm-hmm.
because what we don't mention about our homegirl Davina is that Davina and Andre been doing the things.
Okay, they sure have.
And so with the competition, the contest that we're
Mm-hmm.
mentioning, Davina, she's not allowed to come. She's been barred against all
Mm-hmm.
functions. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the one time, because we're skipping. I mean, we're not skipping, but it's a time jump, because at first it's just been a couple of days in episodes 1 and 2. Now we're
Mm-hmm.
in episodes 3, where it's been weeks now. They're starting
Mm-hmm.
to climb up. Revenue is starting to come back. The what's it, the Flare the Face or something
Right.
competition?
Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm.
That's what's going on. So it's at this competition, where they've already acknowledged the great things that Nina is doing, that
Mm-hmm.
Davina comes and starts a whole shit show
Mm-hmm.
by announcing to everyone that Dre and Claudia been
Have been
smashing.
boning. So is that episode 4?
That's episode 3.
Still really?
That's at the very end of it, because you got to remember,
Yes. Yes. You're right. You're right.
it's that part where everything gets overshadowed, because Gus and Dre now start fighting.
Yes, because Gus punched Dre in the face, and like I said, all the villains so far, their names is Dre. I don't understand, but in the light of that, that everybody's completely shocked. Davina, decides that she's going to drop the bomb, grab a glass of champagne and the champagne bottle, and make her way out because
Mm-hmm.
she's a classy bitch. Okay, she was like, "I'm gonna drop this shit off, and I'm gonna take a bottle with me." I hear you. I hear you. So the whole mess, everybody is really kind of talking about that. And then Nina goes on to announce the new winner, who happens to be a solid, full, beautiful brown black girl, or
Mm-hmm.
woman, shall I say. And in the midst of all that, all the social medias go crazy, and she actually wins the votes that puts Flair and Glory on the top again.
Mm-hmm.
And so we
Mm-hmm.
have that as we move into episode 5. But as we go into episode 5, as she goes
4.
into, oh, I'm sorry, episode 4, um, she's back with her little boo thing that she done met off of Tinder or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that is a very interesting situation that's hearing happen in episode 4. So now in episode 4, we realize, and I think it's Dre who finds out first, right before Nina and Simon, about the shareholder, right?
Yes.
Um, yeah, about the shareholder. And so they find out who the guy is. They find out who his father is first. So that's the older guy. Then they come to find out that he has died and that he's left
Yep.
everything to his only son. And as we see them flip the pages and flip the pictures, of course they flip to the picture of the son, and the son happens to be the man who Nina is currently smashing and dashing because she treat him just like the rest of them. Okay, but why is you still here though? why are you still here? What did you think about that? Like, was that something that you were expecting to see when they did that the whole reveal?
I was not. I was not expecting it to be him. I thought it was going to be someone else. But when we did find out it was him, I was just like, oh shit. Because it's that thing. Because now it's another time jump, and they've been smashing for weeks now. And he's wanting to get to know more about her and get more involved. And
you don't even know her name. What is she? Brooklyn Babe.
Yes, Brooklyn, and excuse me, and it's really her that's like, nah, we good. We'll get there when we get there. And so she's on her man-eater shit because, and I get it, because we always see men at that who are successful that always have the women fawning over them and wanting to, establish a relationship and a connection. And the men are like, I don't have time for this. Right. And I'll call you when I need your services. And that's pretty much what she's been doing. Yeah. But the minute that Gideon comes to her with the information and finds out, baby, listen.
Hello? She mad.
Because she takes it because at this point is when we also find out that Claudia has been reaching out to the other shareholders, trying to get their vote to
going on that
to sell to the
Ultra, because it's not Ultra, right? It's
Ultimate, but it's spelled like Ultima. It's spelled like the car.
It was supposed to be Ulta Beauty, like in America, but they was like, let's go with something else. So it's like
it's
you said,
Ultimate, but it's spelled like Ultima, but with a U,
right?
And so that she's going around, and unbeknownst to Nina, she's already talked to our Punjabi Bay.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember his name right now.
Listen, Rashimi. Don't give me the line. Go ahead.
That's right.
Okay.
But unbeknownst to Nina, she's already talked to him. She's talked to a lot of the other shareholders. So
and that's not how she spent the story either, as we
at all. And so, Nina has been trying to get in touch with the shareholders who happen to be her aunts and uncles and all of that. And then when she finds out this secret one who no one knew about is the Punjabi Bay, she goes to him, and it is a slap in the face because it's karma. Yeah. It's like, she's questioning him. Well, why didn't you tell me who you were? And this whole time you've been trying to get to me because, and he's just like, sweetheart, I don't know nothing about you.
Right.
I know nothing about your business. I know
something about you, but it ain't
I know how you do that there. You know what I'm saying? Hey. But I don't know anything about you business-wise. And that is a slap in the face because he was like, I've been trying to build with you, but you've been the one who's been standoffish.
Right.
And yes, her package does seem nice. But it that to me was not the biggest shock of it all. And I'm going to throw it to you to announce what that shock was.
So let's go down and talk about it real quick. So now that Flair and Glory is on the top of the top, right? Sales have been booming, and they are currently out of stock with everything. They can't find not a damn thing. So they're trying to figure out what's going on, because now they done put out one fire with the complaints of what the product was doing, but now they got to put out another fire because they're trying to figure out, like, hey, so we want the product, but now we can't get the product because there ain't no more product to get. So she now hands it over again to Gus to let him know, hey, you figure this out. You said you want to cut the distribution out. Cool. I'm gonna hand this to you. You can handle it, because now she has to go and figure out what's going on again with the with the
distributor,
right? So we have that happening, and she handles that and leaves it to Gus and decides that she's gonna go visit, even goes to visit her auntie who who politely says, "Oh, now you remember where I live because I know you and you know my number because I'm trying to figure out how you ain't seen me before." But nonetheless, she's still trying to trying to get everybody on her side, and she decided she's just going to do her best to just talk the day of, essentially, because she there's nothing else she can do. Nobody else is taking her call. And even though I think she did get to see a few people, they were just telling her like, hey, maybe not, essentially. So right now we have Gideon, who I'm not going to hold you the whole entire time. So we still in episode 4, right? So by the time we get to episode 4, I'm like, yo, something ain't sitting right with my man Gideon.
Exactly.
Every single time that Nina needs something and he's supposed to show up, he's like, oh, I'm sorry I missed this, or oh, I'm sorry I didn't catch that. And it's like, whose man's is this? Like, whose side are you on? I'm confused. And even still, we don't see anything wrong per se. We don't catch Gideon as of yet, but child.
Because we also got to remember that Gideon was once upon a time was the CFO for the company. But because of Claudia's manipulating ways, she got Steven, that's the father's name. Steven, to get rid of him and bring on Dre. Right. And so when Andre comes on, Andre takes over and he's handling everything, misappropriating the money and everything like that. And what happens is Gideon, although he's been around so long, this is the reason why he's like, oh, I didn't know this was happening. I didn't know that was happening. So the point that you're speaking to as far as he didn't know is about that cousin that has a share that no one can find. Right. And we find out. So now we're at the board meeting for the vote to sell the ultimate. Go ahead and drop sell the ultimate. And she was like, yeah, we can't find the cousin. Claudia was like, oh, he died. But he gave his share to somebody else. And so at this point in my mind, I'm thinking, oh shit, don't tell me it's. Then they turn the laptop around because they got a Zoom, and it's their own damn mama.
I was not expecting that. That's my only surprise in this entire series. I was not expecting that. I said, oh, you janky.
It explains so much, though. It explains so much. And I had that feeling that she had a share from a very long time ago, because she kept saying it took so much of us. It was so much for us to get away from them. And she was so hell-bent on them not going to the funeral, for them being in business. And now we see why. Because she a part of the business. She don't want to be associated with this man and that woman, Claudia, because Claudia took her man away. But the whole time, they've been dealing with each other because she got part of the shares. Now it's up for the vote.
And she votes yes to sell the ultimate against her own children, who are currently running the company. Like, can you imagine? I would fly to LA, and you know what? That's my mind.
But you know what? We're skipping ahead because we have to double back a little bit, because we're forgetting to mention one person, Wanda. So Wanda is the spoiled brat baby sister of the family. She ain't got no job. She Tommy. She ain't got no job. She always got money.
And she
always doing something. And you know, for the longest time, what we failed to mention is that Nina is now cutting off assets.
I was gonna say that. Yep.
And so the money is starting to dry up for Miss Wanda.
Yep.
And Miss Wanda has a broke British bae with no job. And she's paying his way for everything. And so she comes to him. I mean, Nina comes to her and tries to tell, Wanda, she is that typical baby of the family, daddy's little girl who idolizes her father. And she's been the one saying, this is not what daddy would want. Daddy wouldn't do this, daddy wouldn't do that. So that's where Nina finds that that's her, her Achilles heel. That your father wouldn't want this. He wouldn't want to sell into a white company at that. They're not going to they're not going to acknowledge, our plans or our dreams and everything like that. They're going to take everything that he built and throw it away and whitewash it. So at the vote, Wanda sides with her big brother and big sister, who she's just now meeting.
Right.
But everybody else decided with their mom, because they're British, so they say mom, not mom.
Mom.
And eventually they all vote to sell to Ultimate for a big payday. Because Ultimate don't care that the 20 million pounds is missing. They just like, we could take that hit and keep it pushing because we got plans for this business.
Right. So we have a few things and we can go back throughout, but y'all can bear with us in the audience because y'all gonna love what we got to say regardless. But so we forget that. So as Nina is drying up the funds, we find out that both Wanda and Gus are the ones, and Mama are the ones who need the money the most. Gus has a year left on his apartment. Wanda is told that she should move back into the house with her mama
because her lease is about to be up.
Right. And not Nina, Alicia, everybody wants to know what's going on, but Alicia's house or condo is paid off.
Paid for.
She gets money from her endorsements through her
being an influencer.
Yes, there we go. And has been putting her money in stocks while her siblings been getting broke. Child, I said, well, she said, I don't know where y'all finna go, but y'all ain't finna come over here. So, okay, cool. We also have that where Wanda and Mama find the safe, and they can't break into it. So now they have to find somebody to break into it for them and whatnot. So we have a lot happening. So then, of course, like you said, we get to the vote. The mom votes against, and that means that the company can get sold to Ultimate. And the story or the what am I trying to go for right now? What's sold to them by Mama is that Gus and Alicia can now run as co-CEOs, right? And they realize very quickly, as Gus has now found his brain, that he wants to do a skincare line. And Ultimate is like, no, you stay where you're supposed to stay, which is in the hair care line, because we already
got something.
Exactly. So very interesting. I think so much was happening. You know what's crazy though? Like, as these things are happening, it doesn't feel like a lot. It feels like they did such a good job at spacing it just enough because they have so many storylines to follow. If you think about it, Nina, Simon, Gus, Claudia, Alicia, Wanda, and they still even dabble on Steven's line as well. And then, Dre and Gideon and Maureen. It's a lot happening, but it doesn't feel like it's oversaturated. It feels like
not at all
enough. You know what I mean? So after Nina loses the vote, essentially, she's trying to figure some things out. I think by this time she's still running the investigation, trying to figure out where the money is going. They notice a few things, and the guy calls her back, and he's like, "Listen, this is this money has been. This is episode 4 still."
It's going into 5
okay,
where you're at now.
Sure. All right, cool. So, and I'm gonna let you carry most of it from there because I was so intrigued in episode 5. I ain't got no notes. I'm not gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you. So, so the end of the episode 4 was when she gets all of the clarity on where the money's been going and decides that she's going to take a trip to Switzerland. So she goes to Switzerland, and we see having this moment where her dad is somehow like in the chair. Well, let me not skip, because the first thing that I remember and recall the most is that they were waiting for her to get there. Hello?
Listen. It's the, and that's the thing that I love about these type of shows or movies or anything where it has the estranged family situations going on, because even though the relationships are so strained, it's always that one moment where it's like, oh, your father or your so-and-so always
Yep.
talks about you. So and
Yep.
so always says this, always says that. We've been waiting for you. You know, your father. And so I'm so excited because I've really got my life in this episode. It was
Oh, listen, you
everything.
had listen. It's all yours, baby.
So
It's all yours.
in this episode, you know, we follow Nina going to Switzerland. She goes to this very highbrow hotel where as soon as she gets there, she's greeted at the front desk and they said, "We've been waiting on you.
Absolutely.
You know, your father, we've been expecting you. Your father has mentioned you, and we're going to set you up in his favorite suite."
Sweet.
And so somehow I can't remember exactly, but there was some clue, that was given to her while she's there. But let's not forget how she goes to the bar to have a drink, and the ivory colonizer comes to her thinking that she is a whore. That she is a prostitute, and tries to proposition her, and she's like, "Excuse me?
Excuse me?"
And that's when he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and
And not
runs
with the
away.
waiter trying to say, "Oh, a high class prostitute, not just a regular call girl."
Exactly, like very much exactly. So, we see that Nina is now retracing her father's steps by going to his doctors because what we did not mention is that the reason why Maureen was deleting the emails is because in the emails it is discovered that he is ill because he has cancer, and no one knows this. And so he was spending money going to these doctors in Switzerland to try to get help with his cancer and get cured. And then it's when he goes for his second opinion that it's told to him that it is inoperable, it's terminal, and there's nothing that they can do about it. So I still cannot recall as to how Nina gets her hand on the documents, but somehow, some way, in the suite, she finds her father's belongings, and in those belongings, we see there is another family secret.
It was the key, right? It was somehow. So the driver tells her, like, "I used to drive for your father. He used to go here to this place often," and it ended up being. Like,
was it a bank?
It was
a bank. It was a bank because it was the key to his safety deposit box.
Yes, and she asked, "Who else has a key?"
That's the key.
And the banker tells her, "You and your father."
Exactly. So she goes to the safety. She goes to the bank and goes to the safe deposit box. She gets the items out of the safe deposit box and brings it back with her to the hotel. And this is where my favorite part of Petty comes into play. This is where this is where Nina learns all that's been going on. And she tells Gideon, "I found some information and I'm coming back. Like this, I have a plan to get the company back." Now, all the while this is going on, Nina's nowhere to be found. As you mentioned, Gus and Alicia have come to the heads of Ultimate for their propositions to have their own entities in the company, and they're shooed away like peasants. Their family built this. And so everything that Nina said to them is actually happening. They're not going to let you do this. They already have their way that they're going to do things. So then when because Andre is Claudia's piece of peen, he knows he's going to get his cut from the money. Now here's the thing that no one's mentioning. Check ain't been cut yet. So because the check ain't been cut, you can't just be out here spending money. You know what I'm saying? My man goes to the jewelry store and goes and get him an AP.
Hey, listen.
I don't know if y'all know, but an AP is starting at $400,000.
Oh, wait a minute now.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that. I thought we was talking like $25,000.
No, baby, $395.
Oh, no.
Yes.
300, what? A $400K of what? That's a house. That's 2 houses. Oh no.
Yes, very much so.
Okay. All right.
And so he go, and his boy tells him,
definitely,
you know what I'm saying? You sure you want to be doing this? He's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Hustle hard. Whatever. So he spends the money. So like I said, all of this is going on while Nina's in Switzerland, and she finds she finds her golden ticket.
Yep.
So she comes back to the house where Claudia is at, and she gets to reciting the tales of the will that was read, where Stephen was very particular and very precise in saying, my three genetic children are entitled to $30 million to be split between £30 million to be split between them. He says that because lo and behold, he has had a DNA test done, and Wanda is not his child.
Not his child.
And
I didn't see that coming.
I did not see it either. I clutched my pearls, baby.
I was very shocked, but it was a very nice and very welcomed twist for sure, because even though we still don't know where the money is going, right? Because Nina has discovered that that her dad went to this one doctor once. We still don't know where the rest of the times what he was doing while he was there in Switzerland. So that's still a question mark. But now we know, like, oh shit,
this what you've been doing. This what you've been setting up.
Baby girl ain't yours.
And not only that, but we also learn that it's been fun. The money has been getting funneled to the mother to pay for the schooling and the caring for Nina and Simon, while Nina and Simon are under this false pretense that their mother is hustling and bustling, trying to make it work for them in New York once they move to the States, not knowing that their father has been funneling the money, but that still is not the 20 million pounds that is missing.
Right.
So after Nina comes and drops this bomb on Claudia is devastated. And in her devastation, she then Nina returns back to the office on her boss shit.
Right.
And another vote is in place where she says, Claudia reveals, I take back my vote to
coming in there with her bug-eyed shades because she embarrassed.
Exactly. Them not going to cry, Mary J. shades. And, she tells them to, the sell is off.
Right.
The deal is off. And so that gives Nina and Simon back the control. It's also in this episode that we discover that while Wanda is out clubbing because she's been having a moment,
a good old time. Yep.
It is revealed, off an earshot, that her boyfriend, whose name escapes me, and for good reason, is using her, which we all assumed.
Which we knew. Which we knew.
You know what I'm saying? And so, we find out that he's using her for a place to live, for her money, and once he gets on, because her clout, and because he's a struggling actor, and once he gets on, he's going to leave her. So prior to this, he's trying to shoot his reels and everything like that for the audition for a role, and he's talking shit about the director and everything like that. And after Wanda finds out, she leaks it to the people.
Now, this is because, let's not forget, this is because she found out in the previous episode, as he was handing out his business card to the people while they were at the Face of Flair and Glory competition, that he later on submitted an article outing the family drama. She found out via watching his text messages, seeing a text message pop up, and that he had also been paid graciously for his submission. And what better way to get revenge on an actor by posting the worst real audition that they had ever. Now, get out as I throw this money at you, you ivory colonizing peasants. Goodbye.
And I loved it. Because at that moment, I thought she was going to be so frail and do the normal, take him back, I love him. Nah, she was like, fuck that. You out. You know what I'm saying? And now, maybe you can remind me how, because this part gets a little fuzzy to me. Dre gets arrested.
So we don't see the details of this beforehand, but Simon texts Nina and says, I hope you know what you're doing. because this essentially like this has to work. So they set it up for Dre to get arrested, right? He's in there because now he's basically he didn't get fired, but he is fired because now the deal is off and he knows that it's time for him to go. He's upset. He's in the office. He's packing his box up, and they arrest him while he's wearing his overly expensive watch that he has now no money to pay for.
Exactly.
And walk him out of the office, right? Glory, so yeah. Maureen gets to see him, Gus gets to see him, and Alicia, which are the key people, get to see him. He gets walked out, he gets booked, and as he's getting booked, right, the police officer who's taking all his stuff, one watch, nice watch, is it real? Like, this man's about to be broke
exactly
because of this watch. But nonetheless, he's in there. Bill gets paid, I guess, and he gets released. And so previous to this, we see that Claudia has packed up her shit and she's leaving.
Wanda on that midnight train to Georgia.
Wanda tells Gus and Alicia to meet her at the house. Shows them where the safe is and says this family has too many secrets and that she found somebody to break into it. So now that's also happening while Dre is getting into this town car, which I assumed actually was Claudia. I did not think that it was going to be Nina. I figured that Claudia would come for her bae. But we see that it's Nina, and she tells him essentially, he's like, yo, what the fuck? He says, like, what are you doing here? And she's like, you need to be thanking me, and we're about to figure this shit out. So she takes him back to the condo or the flat.
Mm-hmm.
And there we see Davina and Simon, and she turns to them and says, are you ready to catch a thief? Now, this whole ploy is about figuring out where the money leak is going. And essentially at this point, Dre doesn't have anything to lose because he's lost everything. And if he wants to pay for that watch and have a life afterwards, then he's going to do what is required of him. And so this is where we are left at the edge of our seats because we have not seen the season finale, folks. Okay, so you're going to get a whole another review from us because we cannot wait. Okay, we're on the edge of our seats. I did not see that coming. Like I said, I didn't see Nina being in the town car and taking him back to the flat to figure out that, there's a leak. And so quite frankly, my money is still on Gideon somehow, some way.
Absolutely.
I feel like he has a play in this.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that. And just to let you all know, because, as we are giving you our review on this, Amaya and myself, this was something we were struggling at one point to get through because we have lives, we work, we do everything you all are doing, but the way that this show it hooked into us and grabbed us, and we were like, okay, we gotta keep going.
It was like fishing. It's like we out there
right,
and you like, ain't nothing biting. What's happening right now? And then all of a sudden you struggling
like, it was so good, and I'm starting to stutter, and I don't even stutter. The thing about it is, it's so deliciously well put, and I love the way that you said earlier how it's so much, but it's not an oversaturation, and that's a real key thing. And one thing we did not mention, which I think is very telling, and it's humanizing of Nina with her father, is all of these flashbacks to when she was little and her parents were still married and she was still living in London with them. And all of what we don't realize is that this strength, this confidence, this boldness that she has comes from her father. Her father pushing her to be the best and telling her she is the best and nothing can stop her. You know what I'm saying? Her faith that she has to be so confident, she got honestly through him. And it almost seems as though she is starting to soften up and really appreciate those, even though there weren't many moments with him. Those moments were key and pivotal to her life because as a grown woman in her 30s now, she can still recall those times. Right. But I urge you all to please hanging it with us, because as you're going to be watching, we're going to be watching.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, we were both like, can you
We're
believe
ready
that?
for it. Yeah, we are ready. We were typing to each other and while we were watching it. We had to pause and go back for a second. And and also let's not forget that the main thing in this story that turns it around as Nina gets deeper into Flair and Glory is that she recalls that her dad called her the day before he died and he says the company is in trouble. I'm in trouble. Somebody's trying to hurt me and the company. And so it takes off from there. I'm really interested to see what the finale is going to be. And I fear that we might not get it early. So we might have to do a live review in order to like talk about it. But
listen, I'm off that day.
listen,
So it's whatever.
I'm excited, and if we do live, I think it'll be dope. I feel like y'all gonna be right here in it with us, and it's gonna be on and popping. I'm super excited. So again, guys, Amazon Riches is here. Amazing cast. December 2nd is going to be fire. I mean, whether you agree with us or not, feel free to comment, let us know, come back, argue with us in the chat for all we care. Like we're still going,
comment.
Like, it's all
comment.
good.
Let us
all
know
love.
what you think, because we, to our fans that we have out there, we do notice you. We see your comments. We appreciate the love. And as well as a little bit of fight back, we get some of y'all a little sauced up, and that's fine. Saucy. That's cute. I love it. I love it. I'm from Brooklyn. I promise you.
Okay, because we can go. We can.
And the pretty boys from the Harlem Renaissance that I have that's within me. It's just it Harlem is my second home. Shout out to the Bruce and the Thompsons.
Shout out to Harlem.
And the Sanders out there. But I will say this: your critiques actually help us give you what you want. So if there's something you feel we missed, hey, let us know.
Absolutely.
Because this is, as we're doing this, it's only going up, and we have more things for you all in the future. So please stay tuned. Join the chat. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell my friend.
Absolutely.
So we can be friends. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
Hello.
And in like Maya said, get in the chat with us, because if y'all think we cut up on this, y'all have no idea how live
we are in
that chat gets. I'm telling you,
for real.
We in there with y'all. So December 2nd, Prime Video, Riches, and let's not forget, this is Black excellence at its finest. Opulence is. This show is screaming with it, from Brooklyn to Britain.
Hello.
It is beautifully showcased. And don't sleep. That's all I can say. Don't sleep.
And of course, as always, in Black excellence, you got Black amazing hair and Black amazing outfits, and it's going to be to the T. So tune in with us. Stay tuned for more. Maybe we will comment and let y'all know whether or not we'll be doing a live for the finale. But trust and believe, we are here to stay. So until next time, we will see you all lovely people again.
Deuces.
Peace, y'all. Again.
Do not adjust your video screen. So in our last video, we told you that we were going to be watching the finale with you live. Well,
we lied.
We didn't lie from what we knew, but now we lived. So we about to run it back and let y'all know what we think.
We're gonna run it back. So I'm not gonna do the intro. You already know who it is. Your girl, my Desire Jamal on the ones and twos. Okay.
Yes.
And woo, child.
And since we cover hair, let me just show my Flair and Glory right quick. I know I need to trim my ends.
Get out of here.
But
goodbye.
I just had to real quick for anybody who wonders how long the
As
hair
we
is.
suspected, right?
And this is just a blowout. This ain't even no
Not as a
flat
blowout.
iron, none of that. This is just a round brush,
He
a
trying to
good
tell you
grain,
that
and a blow dryer.
he ain't do a lot, and he still got he's still flexing. So we see.
Still got my.
I
I can't do it. I was doing it on Sunday. My little Whitney Houston when she do that little.
I'm just glad that y'all can't really see my set it off cornrows under here. It's kind of just because I look like Cleo, but nonetheless.
Hey, Cleo went out with a bang though.
She did, and we about to go out with a bang right now. So I'm gonna just start by saying season 2 should be upon us because the way that they ended season 1 was a banger. Now, as we suspected,
yes, Lord,
good old Gideon had his hands and feet in the goddamn cookie jar. And we knew that because, like I said in my last review, it just seemed too convenient that he was missing such big things when he was going about. However, my concern is that they've been handing over paperwork with their signatures on it to Gideon this whole entire time. So what's to say that this, listen,
I'm with you. I'm with you because it does scream conspiracy, considering that, you know, he's been playing the cleanup guy and whole time he been the reason for the mess. And all the cleanup has been done until, you know, the major part of all the cleanup has been done until this last bit when we find out that he's the root behind it all. So it's like, well, how we know you not setting us up going forward?
Right.
We don't know.
They don't know. So one of the things I do think that we'll talk about is the whole conversation with Nina and Simon about bringing in the other siblings, which perceived to be the right call that Simon was trying to make, that Nina voted and basically said no to, right? And so we see that Andre, Nina, Simon, and Davina, because Davina now confirms that she moved money for Gideon. She moved money and you know, to an account that she thought was good because he obviously had some sort of, you know,
he was on the board.
Right. So to me, it's just like, wow, that's too many. It's I'm gonna go ahead.
But that's really that it's above me now. It's really about that life, you know, and it really does speak to that. It's above your pay grade because it was because of the fact that Davina worked in that part of the organization where she saw some discrepancies. She asked questions. She was given an answer by her superiors, and she was given a directive, and she did what she was told. Unbeknownst to her, that, you know, it was detrimental to the company, but she now knows, and she's been able to shed that light to help Nina and Simon find out who's really behind the embezzlement of the money from the company.
Right. So they put together this plan or scheme because now, you know, Dre, our infamous villain, is now out of jail, and you know he's trying to figure out what's going on. They bringing him up to speed, like, "Hey, it's Gideon. We need you to find this money." And he act like he got somewhere else to go. So where you going? You broke and you got on a $500,000 wire. Sit your ass down. You being real dusty, okay?
Yes.
So they make this plan, and you know he's there working, trying to figure out. He's starting to find some things a little bit here and there. Alicia tells Gus, you know, like, well, what's going on? Well, let me go backwards because they break into the safe, right? They finally break into the safe. They realize that their dad has a life insurance policy, 55 million pounds. And, you know, they're excited because now that means they can go back to not doing shit, not working, and just using up dad's money. Meanwhile, Alicia uncovers a document taped to the top of the safe, which now lets her know that Wanda is not blood, you know, like she has a different father, right? And so what are we thinking about this? Because remember, we had this information last time when Nina had it. So now it's like, what?
So my main questions is, how long had it been that Stephen found out? I was trying to think of the father's name.
You know what? We should have. I wonder if there was a date on that document.
I couldn't see it. I don't have my glasses on. You know, I'm blind.
Glasses on. We both cannot be wearing glasses when we watching these shows.
Listen, and I use it. You know why? Because this is for fun. When I wear my glasses, this is for life. It's for work. Okay, but I need to stop wearing them.
Log off right now.
I need to start wearing them more often because your man is blind. Okay, I'm just trying to let you know now.
So we don't know the dates.
We don't know the dates, but it has to be significant to the point that it was, because do we know the last time that Stephen was in Sweden? Because that's where we discover the blood results information for when he found out that Wanda was not his child. So based on that information is when he filed the adoption papers, but he was denied because Wanda is a grown adult at this time. But so that's what I want to know.
That's interesting. Yeah, well, I guess
he's old enough to drink, but you only got to be 18 to drink in London, don't you?
I have no idea. I believe so, but so Wanda, yeah, so she's 18, of course. I think she might be a little bit older than that now. So
she's grown. She's legal. She's a legal adult as the government sees it in London. But anyway, you know, that to me, it was nice. It was a nice gesture that he had the money set aside. But it also spoke to, I'm not going to let this ruin my children's life, because the way that the will is set up, you know, 30 million pounds to be split between my genetic children. We're going to come back to that later, but to my genetic children. So with the adoption papers, it's kind of like, does it help her or harm her? Because adoption doesn't make you genetic. It just makes you legally the child.
This is true too. This is very true. But I mean, I guess, yeah, that's a good question. But I mean, you know, at this point, we just gonna have to see how that plays out, because that storyline is that's going to be uncovered for sure. So I definitely can see that. So of course, moving forward, Alicia and Gus are in the office, but Simon and Nina aren't there, and Alicia says something's going off. Her spidey senses is going off, and she says something's going down. Like, what's going on? Where are they at? And so, of course, Gus is like, chill, celebrate the wins. We got the $55 million from Dad's life insurance policy, but Alicia decides to go, you know, on her detective hunt. She sees Nina talking with Dre, and immediately calls Gideon.
Hello, Barbara.
And I'm like, what's happening here? So it's like, you couldn't just hold off and like, what? So of course, so it's here lies the question: should Nina have listened to Simon and told them about what was happening to loop them in?
Because of how we see it play out, I would say no. Because you got to think about it. If they would have included the other siblings in what they knew, their opinions might have clouded their judgment or made it difficult for how they were going to play their hand going forward. Whereas, so, you know, Alicia finds out, she goes holler at Gideon, and then, you know, she get her big girl draws on, and then comes step to Nina. Well, when she steps to Nina, and Nina pretty much tells her, you done fucked it up, because he didn't. We knew that it was Gideon, and he was pinning everything on Andre.
Right.
That then probably probably lit that light underneath Nina to have Andre do the research, you know, really get into the research to find out as much as he could to hold up as proof so they could bluff Gideon at his most vulnerable moment, which would be sitting inside of his private club and then, drop it on the line. So this is what we know, and what are you going to do?
This is what we know for sure, and we just want the money back. We ain't trying to press no charges. You know what I'm saying? The land, all of that, run that back.
And that's the loophole that they found. That's the loophole that they find, which I don't know if you peep game, but Andre said something about even dead men got to pay taxes or something to that nature, because all the money was recouped to buy this land, but he ain't paying no taxes on it. So excuse my language, getting is fucked either way, because the government's going to come after you for either the taxes or the fraud for the embezzlement. So run me my money. Yeah. That's all I need. You run me my money. I can keep quiet about all of this.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, and you know what? I wasn't 100% sure what's happening with everybody waiting in the office, right? I'm like, they're all looking at computers, but what are they waiting for? I thought initially it was like some sort of video, like they was watching it go down.
And I thought they heard.
Yeah, I thought so too. And then, the money starts trickling in and everybody's getting happy because they see the money getting transferred back.
Ping,
and it's
ping,
like,
ping, 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 ping.
It's like, oh shit, here's all the money that Nina talked about. She's doing what she says she's doing. Claudia has showed up, everybody's in the conference room. And it's like, oh, okay, y'all finna tackle this like a family. I see you. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so we have this one victory, and then Mother Dearest shows up. What you think about Mama?
So Claudia.
No, not that Mama. Their Mama.
Oh, Ma Dukes. Yeah. So this is the part that really bothers me. If you don't want to be associated with something so much, why the fuck do you keep popping up in that something you don't want to be associated with? If you don't want to be a part of it, you would separate yourself from it so much that it's not even anything you think about. But that's with a B-U-T. But these are still her children. Mm-hmm. So regardless of the fact that if she wants to be associated with the company, she still has ties. They are her kids. She's going to wonder. She's going to worry. She's going to be, assuming they're doing something or wondering what it is that they're doing. And the fact that, begrudgingly, they went against her wishes. Mm-hmm. She didn't want them to have anything to do with it. Maybe she's still butthurt, or maybe it's just because she knows that it's a lot of drama. But at the end of it all, she really did not expect for them to get all invested into this as they have been. And now to the point where Nina has uprooted her whole life. Mm-hmm. And takes this on, and she even says, "You've always been so much like him." Mm-hmm. Yeah, talking about Steven.
And Simon decides that he's going to sell his shares or give his shares to Nina. So now she obviously would be, there because he wants his life. He wants his life back in New York or LA.
New York.
Okay, New York, where he's getting ready to prepare for being a dad. Him and his partner are getting ready to adopt or surrogate, I believe. And so he shares that with Gus, which I thought was a very cool brother-to-brother moment. Because, just because you don't, it goes to show you can create a bond. You can create something, that wasn't there that you think it was impossible. So I really enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. So fast forward, we have your girl, Maureen, who so kindly submits her notice that she is leaving, and Nina insists on saying, like, hey, we want to know all the secrets. Where are the secrets? Because you are not only the secretary, you are the diary of sorts, mm-hmm. Playing and keep it. And so we hear Nina reiterate again after Maureen's gone, and just talking to Simon and talking about the will and how it was read, and how even though he says genetic, it doesn't. He already knew about Wanda, so it's not like he's not talking about Wanda. He's talking about somebody else, and we see them. She mentions that's the sixth child. Right, the sixth child. And then we see this, this guy who we've never seen before going into this house where there's a suitcase, and around the corner he says, "Hey, Mom," and Mom happens to be Maureen.
Fucking Rain. Yeah. So quick question. Have you ever seen Good Luck to You, Leo Grand? Okay, well, the guy that plays the son right now looks like the guy from that movie. It's actually pretty good. It's pretty decent, but be careful to make sure you close your eyes towards the end of it. Love you. I cannot think of her name right now. She a beast. Love her work, but I didn't need to see the end of Leo Grande to see her like that. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I knew from the reading of the will, Maureen just ain't no regular secretary, okay? She's not Mary J. working every day of the week. She's not Bernadette. She is not Karen White. She, for £1 million, and you file papers and take minutes in meetings, and I'm giving you £1 million. Nah, I used to smash that. And this exactly showed us how true it was. When I saw it, I was like, yo, I always knew.
I just thought she was a loyal secretary. I didn't know she was
the way that she was deleting them emails, I knew that she deleted them because some way she could possibly be implicated.
Right.
And either their love affair come out or her embezzlement and him finding out, whatever. I knew it was not just because of his illness.
Right.
But that could also be what was in it. Because he's ill, he probably was telling her, hey, listen, tell my son. Who knows? But we know we never saw the son this entire time this has gone on.
Yep, until now. So we have that one bombshell dropped, and then we have another because we see Claudia. She's at the other house or what have you, and she's tending to some plants. And the lady who comes over says, wash your hands before you eat the cookies, before you touch the cookies, because you don't want to get sick, right?
This husband killers.
This plant is known as the husband killer. Then at the end of the episode, we have Gideon showing up, the damn door wide open. Who doesn't lock their doors? What is happening around here? And says that, he has proof that she killed her husband. Slow and steady.
Wins the race. So here's my thing when that bomb was dropped. We always knew Stephen had cancer. It was no shock to anyone. However, what we did not know is that he was not being treated.
Right, because remember we kept asking, if he has only been to Switzerland once, why do we keep seeing all of these travels, all these payments? Like, what's happening here? And we still have yet to know what that's about. So listen, season 2, bring it. I'm super, super ready. Like, this was an amazing season. It definitely is a 400-mile race. Like, not a 400-mile race, a 400-meter race. As you start off quick, you coast, as best you can in that mid, and then you rev it right back up. It's literally, it starts off slow just enough to get you like kind of like, come on, give me some more. And then it gives you more, and it just keeps giving you more and more and more. And they don't do it in a way that's like overbearing. It's not a lot. It's just enough. So
it really was.
Congrats to this cast, man. The season 1 was amazing, and I can't wait to hear the feedback from you all. Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it too much? Is it not enough? What are your thoughts? We want to hear more from you.
Yes, indeed. Because listen, this show, as we said before, it had us. Like, we were like, you want to go again? You want to keep going? You want to keep?
Yes.
Like, we were so invested to the point, like, I'm at work thinking about the show. I'm like, you ready? Like, when I found out we had season 6, I was like, ooh.
Episode 6.
We gonna watch.
Yeah. We
texted each other, finding out when we gonna watch it and everything like that, setting it up. It's definitely something that it was, I think, how it was packaged, how the storyline developed, I think it was very intelligent. And it was very, I think, nuanced. Filmmaking, TV show production should follow a similar path, because it's like you want to, teaspoon feed them. You want to spoon feed them just a little bit to get them interested, and then you want to hook them in to keep them there. Yeah. Just don't. Excuse me. All I can say is just don't go too far right, don't go too far left. And like you said before, although it was so much, it didn't feel like it was a lot.
Right.
Like it wasn't overbearing. It was just,
yeah.
And then they're beautiful people. Jesus, this is a beautiful cast.
It is.
Can't say that about every show I've watched, but this one they are beautiful cast.
Well, you guys know what to do. Be sure to follow Big Old Belt Media. Check us out on every social media platform. And we do have interviews with the cast hosted by moi. So definitely make sure you check it out. Tell us what you think. And until next time, we'll see you.
Deuces.
Big old bell.